Welcome back to another episode of Kicking It with Coach Red, where we bring you all the news, stories, takes, and opinions about your favorite teams from the Pacific Northwest, from the good to the bad to the Mariners.
The second place Mariners.
Kane coming in with some very hot, and I told him that he needed to turn his frown upside down. Apparently, we are not there yet, but hopefully, we can get there soon. Teased this a couple of weeks ago. It is time to give some nicknames to the Seahawks draft class plus a UDFA. I bet you can't guess who the UDFA is, but I bet you can. But before we do that, why don't I tell you a little bit about us? If you're looking for a guy, it's a little bit like the Yin Yang twins. Hey, how you doing? Let me whisper in your ear. Tell you a take you might like to hear. If you're looking for a guy like that, maybe you're looking for a guy like me, your boy, Coach Red. You can find me on X at the Real Coach Red, on Instagram at the Real _ Coach Red, TikTok at the Real Coach Red. Also find the show over on YouTube. Search Kicking It with Coach Red. Like, subscribe, hit the bell notifications, leave a comment or two. And if you're looking for a guy that's a little bit like Lil Jon, he's going to give you a take, and you're going to say, what? He's going to explain a little bit more. Yeah. And then at the end, you go, okay. Just a
Yeah.
Lil Jon in you. If you're looking for a guy, there, you're going to get Little John. You're looking for a guy like Kane.
Yeah, I'm Cade. And fun story about that. Little John actually liked one of my best friend's tweets, so he gets to die that way. Pretty cool. Also, I'm Kane. You can find me over on Twitter at Kane2406, on YouTube at Kane06, TikTok Kane0624. Also, follow the show's socials over on Twitter and Instagram at Coach Red Pod. False. Do it, freaking do it.
Humble brag. My best
Yeah,
friend.
dude.
Wow.
He was dissing Papa John's and basically said Little John's about something, and yeah, he liked it, so it's pretty cool.
Nice. Well, you guys are forever linked now.
Yeah, I guess.
Well, so we get to have a little fun, get a little creativity going. And who knows, maybe you guys want to comment out there, especially on YouTube, on whose nicknames you might like better at the end. So we'll start from the first round and work our way through. Kane, what is your nickname for Byron Murphy the second?
Uh, I'm gonna say it's like my liege because usually when you hear a name like the second, you think royalty. So he's going on a quest, like in the game The Legend of Zelda, because the last 2 years the Seahawks have been robbed of Defensive Rookie of the Year with Spoon and Reek, and he is going on a quest to claim the rightful title.
The D-Praw. The D-Raw.
All right, Coach, what do you got?
For Byron Murphy the second, this works in so many different ways. I've got double trouble, baby. Double trouble. Because you pair him on the same side with Leonard Williams, two of them, you're in trouble. Pair him with Jaron Reed on the inside, a little bit of trouble. Double team him, trouble. You're opening up lanes for other guys. And he will be the guy that can be your first defensive lineman fullback combo since Will Tukuafu, baby. He's a double threat, double trouble. He's the second. Bing, bang, boom. Hitting it all across the park on this one.
Like it.
Double trouble. All right. Okay. The next player that we have is guard Christian Haynes.
So this is gonna throw it back to all you Toy Story lovers out there from numero un.
Oh no.
The big one, because oh boy, is he a big boy. That's all I got.
Looks like Kane's racing for second place in the battle of the nicknames today,
That's a
ladies
that's
and gents.
that is a-okay. Coach Red, what do you got?
For this one, I picked Bully because I think that's what he does along the line. But we've talked about it before at the Senior Bowl during practices. He just gets under people's skin a little bit. He's a guy that's going to be ferocious, tenacious in there. He's got an inside track to the starting right guard position. He played all of his college games there. He's a natural fit, but I think that he's got that little bit of nasty in him. And when you're looking at a coach in Mike McDonald who comes from the Ravens, where they've had a tough, stingy defense, what that offense have? A very competent, above average, one of the tops in the league, partially due to Lamar Jackson, but a punishing run game, right? They want to
Mhm.
punch you in the mouth and be that bully. And I think that with Christian Haynes, he gives you a little bit of that edge. He gives you a little bit of that nasty. And I just want him, I want to have a guy that's just a little bit of a bully. Be that mean guy. Get people pissed off. That's what I'm hoping for.
Sneaky Todd, all right.
All right, Kane. Our next player is linebacker Tyrese Knight.
You actually might like this one. You actually might. I'm gonna call him the Dark Knight because he's just like Batman and he's gonna defend it all on his own, right?
He's gonna go. We're gonna go 1v11.
Yeah, dude, because 84 solo tackles is nuts. So he's gonna do it all by himself. He's just gonna take everybody down, defend the end zone, just like the Dark Knight defends Gotham. So there you go. The actual thoughtful one. The one good one of the episode. There you go. Coach Red, what do you got?
For Tyrese Knight, I have the Dark Knight. I have different reasonings though. So with this, you have Bruce Wayne, right? Is Batman. He's the Dark Knight. The one thing is Tyrese Knight was a little bit unexpected of a draft choice. You had some guys that had better pedigree in college. He was seen a little bit more as a special teams guy that could potentially work his way into a backup role. This guy's going to have an inside track to be that third linebacker. He's a younger guy. You haven't seen a ton that you love out of John Radigan outside of some special team snaps. He's got a handful of snaps with the first squad due to injury. But one thing I want to know about Tyrese, he's like a little bit mysterious, right? I want to see what's in his bat belt, right? What gadgets is he bringing to the field? He's a little bit of that mystery. So you know the name because he was drafted, but how does he fit in this team? You had guys like Jeremiah Trotter that were still on the board that was a high production guy at Clemson that doesn't go till the sixth round. When you're sitting here in the fourth, there's some guys that I still thought would be in play for the Seahawks, and he was kind of that outlier for me. So, and when you looked at the grades, he was a guy that was rated a lot lower by the national pundits than the Seahawks obviously thought of him because they figured we got to take him here now, might not have a shot next time we come around. So that's why I have it. It's slightly different because he's got that two things, we know that they drafted him, but the media thinks differently. I want to see what this guy can bring to the field and actually see him in real time, see what he does against competition.
All right.
And I saw that when you sent me your list, I saw that it was the same and I wasn't going to change it.
It's the only one I really thought about, dude.
Well, dude, how did you think about this next player, tight end AJ Barner?
I just call it mystery utility because it's really all, he can kind of do it all for you on the offensive side, right? He can block, he can catch. It's what want in your tight ends. And they're gonna roll him out there on two tight end sets to give him an extra blocker. So he's a utility man, basically. Coach Red, what do you have?
I want to call him Knuckle Duster because when you look at this group of tight ends coming in, he was one of those guys where he does have that athleticism, but wasn't asked to do a lot in the pass game in college. We've talked about that. But this guy's nasty, man. He's gonna clock back. He's gonna have that knuckle duster on there and just pop people in the face. And that's kind of the tough nose thing when you look at a lot of these players, sound players, they're guys that have some production, but you see a little bit of mean in a lot of these guys, right? Some of them you've seen day in day out. Some of these guys are a little bit more foreign to us until we see them on the field. But you see that mentality that John Schneider and Mike McDonald went. This is an inline blocker that gives you plus upside on there. You know, it'll knock you out, then he'll run right past you. I would love to see him pop somebody. And what does Ryan Grubb do so well? Set up the screen game, something that the Seahawks have not done a great job of. People are going to focus on Noah Fant and his receiving ability. It'd be fun to see him pop a guy, get it pushed out, guy gets up the field, and let this guy's athleticism play a little bit. So get that pop, get that punch, get that guy right in the face, knuckle dust him.
All right.
All right, Kane. Next guy we have is cornerback Nehemiah Pritchett.
So we're just gonna go with Chet, right? Just like we do with Reek and Spoon. We're just gonna shorten the name, and we're just gonna call him Chet.
Old Chet.
Yeah, I like Chet. All
Okay.
right, Coach Red, what do you got?
I had two here. I'm going to give you both and you can decide which one you like more. The first one I've got is Hair Trigger because this guy can blaze, right? He's a guy that can come downhill. He's a pretty solid tackler, even though he doesn't have all the size in the world. He's a guy that can change direction, play a lot of catch up, just kind of be that hair trigger that you might see on a gun. Just very quick, twitchy type guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
The other one is I wanted to play into his speed a little bit, and it just plays so well into Seattle. Supersonic, baby. Because throwing it back to the basketball team, I was trying to look, I was hoping that he had a few more picks in college because I was about ready to call him the glove, right?
Mm-hmm.
Supersonic, fast, speedy, sticky hands, the glove, I would have just fit too good. But didn't have that high production there, but that speed just lends him to be able to recover. He's a guy that can get down the field, recover. I think he's going to be a stunner on special teams to start and try to push for playing time in this deep cornerback room.
Yeah, it's definitely deep this year.
Okay, this is my favorite name to say, so let's go. Guard Satoa Laimea. Killed it.
Um, he is the Mountain because he is very imposing and big. And also, who doesn't like Game of Thrones and the mountain in that? So,
Comes from Utah. What's in Utah? Mountains. Not very big ones, though.
exactly.
Not very big ones. He might have been
Coach,
the biggest mountain in Utah.
fair enough. Coach Red, who do you got for him?
Um, I think if he were to hear this nickname, you just have to say you're welcome. Because for me, he reminds me a lot of the Rock's character Maui in the movie Moana. Big, bulky. The guy has all this strength in the world. He's a guy that has some versatility. He's played guard and tackle at the collegiate level at Utah, which is a pretty darn good, competent school, right? Utah has been in the thick of it in the Pac 12 for what seems like the last decade. Now, with their move to the Big 12 coming up this next year, I expect to see Utah do some big things. Big shout out to Sam Heward committing to Utah after his 1 year at Cal Poly. But I just feel he's got that he's Samoan. He's got that Samoan vibe. I think that it plays really well. Big, bulky, big upper body, and it's got that little bit of I'm gonna look out for my people. And you see that when he's pulling, dude. He just plants dudes left and right. So be interested to see, like you said, he does have that size that you really like to see out of an interior offensive lineman. Where he struggled in college at the tackle position was the speed rush. You don't get that as much on the inside. So I expect him to uh, sit there, go up against Tamatoa, and just really, really go for it, baby. All right. Next guy we've got is DJ James, cornerback out of Auburn. Kane, what you got?
We're gonna call him the professional. Lots of talk last year about him. If he would have declared, he would have went in the second or third round. Drops a little bit, probably not as much production as the year prior. But now you got him with his running mate, right? And they're just gonna take care of business like professionals.
Yeah, and with that being said, I've seen that a little bit more. We're a little bit harsher on him that he's gonna. I think that both of these cornerbacks out of Auburn are gonna be fighting for roster spots. It's gonna be how versatile they are. But you have that one trait where Nehemiah Pritchett has that top notch speed. I think that DJ James gives you a little bit more polish, right? And a lot of people are saying that this was a sneaky good pick. And yeah, Snyder said, and another pundit said, which is crazy because you look at Spoon going top five, that top flight talent. You didn't have your first cornerback come off the board until the 20s, right? With the Eagles staying at home. So to see him drop off, it's interesting to see how that's going to play into his prospects with the Seahawks. But my nickname is DJ Smooth, baby, because he's a little bit more polished. He's a little bit more silky, right? He's got that smooth. He's got that polish to his game, smooth around the edges, not so rough like you might have with Nehemiah Pritchett. And he could be a guy that, ends up potentially taking that Artie Burns type role of being a guy that had some hype around him early, but he's just kind of worked his way into being a good rotational piece for the Seahawks. I could see DJ James getting there as time moves along for him in this system.
Yeah, I mean they also could mess around and move one of them to safety.
Don't love their size for a safety role unless they're playing free,
Mm-hmm.
but it'll be really interesting because Kobe Bryant's made that move. He's being listed as a safety right now. You got Kayvon Wallace, who I think is listed as slot safety as well. And then you've got your two starters, Marshawn Jenkins and Julian Love. So it'll be really interesting to see how they work that room as a whole. Whether, you look at Mike Jackson restructuring his deal to save some money against the cap. You've got Reek, you've got Spoon, you got Trey Brown, you've got all of these pieces. How are they going to fit? Health is going to be key. It is every year in the NFL, right? Who
Mm-hmm.
can stay healthy, who can step up when people go down. And I think that there's a lot of competition in that room. And this was probably the deepest room, and you put more guys in the draft into that room. It's going to be fun to see how it all shakes out.
Yes, it is.
All right. The next player we have is tackle Michael Jarrell.
I have the mystery man. Small
Austin
town.
Powers, is he
Yeah,
international? Is he the
yeah,
international man of mystery?
he could be.
He comes
You
from
know,
the faraway land of Findlay College.
uh, small town guy or small school guy. You don't really know much about him, and you just got to see what he brings. He's a mystery. Coach Red, what do you got?
For Michael Jarrell, I'm going to call him Cole. Like, it's Christmas morning, you wake up, but you are a bad boy and you have some coal. But I'm not trying to mean this in a bad way because under pressure, Cole can turn into a diamond, and I think that he could be a diamond in the rough. The tools and traits are there. This is a big human being. He dominated against lower competition. You look at a guy that has had success with the Seahawks and parlayed that to a big contract, guy that's back on his team, and that's George Fant, former tight end, moves to tackle, actually starts at left tackle for you, does a pretty darn good job in a pinch. I think that Gerald's going to be that developmental type. I don't know if he makes this roster out of camp or not, but I see this as a practice squad guy that could potentially work his way into being that swing tackle and really fighting a little bit with Stone Forsyth because Stone Forsyth is better against the pass than he or pass rush than he is a run blocker. I I'm thinking that you're probably going to get a little bit more physicality playing lower competition, better punch, better drive, and is going to need a little bit more polish, if you will, in that pass blocking scene against NFL talent. But I do think that you put that pressure on him. You've got a guy that has worked with a ton of guys in the league in Huff being your offensive line coach. I think that this is a guy that has tools and traits that they can mold, put underneath that pressure, and turn him into a diamond in the rough.
I like it.
All right. The one UDFA that we are going to talk about is our boy, Washington Husky great Jack Westover,
All right,
tight end.
I have two for him. This one's just generic, right? And that's just Westy. Nice little play on his last name. The announcers go, there goes Westy down the, field,
Seam,
whatever. Yeah.
seam,
Thank you.
middle.
The other one is the human vacuum cleaner because oh boy, does he just catch everything that's thrown into his vicinity, dude. I watched about 5 games of Husky football this year, and oh boy, every catch he made.
He
It
made a
doesn't
clutch
matter
play
where
in each one of the games that you watched.
exactly. And also that safety blanket type of player. You get him the ball, get a little 5, 6 yard first down. You know what I mean? He is gonna catch everything that you throw at him. So that's what I got. Coach Red, what do you got?
Well, I kind of gave him one last week inadvertently. Thunder blanket. Because he just makes you feel nice and safe and secure, man. He's a guy that you feel confident when the ball's thrown in his direction that something good is going to happen, right? And
hmm
even with the 8th overall pick of Michael Penix, although he was a pretty darn good accuracy guy at his time in Washington, there were a few balls that were thrown Westy's way or Thunder Blanket's way that he just goes up and makes these plays. And some of it he was wide open, but college rules fell to the ground, couldn't go get that extra yards. He could do that in the NFL. You're gonna have a little bit more speed. He's a guy that I think doesn't have the athletic profile to be that number one tight end ever, but having him as a 2 or a 3, I think would be awesome. And the other one that I had two more, but I had to bring up Thunder Blanket because I brought it up last week. Kind of plays off yours of the human vacuum. I just went with Hoover because
That are Dyson, I
vacuum
guess.
cleaner. And then I also wanted to play off it. If you're not feeling safe, things are looking bad out there in the world. Where do you go? Storm shelter or the bunker. So he's a little bit of a storm shelter for me. I just feel safe when
That's
the
fair.
ball goes in his direction. And whether it's going to be Gino throwing him passes for years to come, whether it's going to be Sam Howell or someone else in the future, I think they're going to be able to build that rapport. And I think that having the rapport with Scott Huff, with Brian Grubb, I think is really going to help his chances on making the team. I think that when
Mhm.
you look as a whole, he's probably the UDFA that has the most inside track to get it. And he's just a guy that's easy to root for. He played at Mount Si, didn't play football until his senior year, ends up getting hurt in like the third game, was at a camp at UW. They liked him enough to give him a walk on opportunity, turns that walk on opportunity into limited play time, primarily as a blocker H back. His first couple of years, gains a scholarship, and then becomes one of Michael Penix's trusted options when you needed a first down. And I
Yep.
think that he can bring that to this team. And it gives you a little bit different skill set than you get out of AJ Barner. AJ Barner has better athletic profile. He's a little bit more refined as a blocker. But Westy can get in there and block for you pretty darn well. And his hands are just so soft. Maybe we should have called him kitten mittens.
Oh, jeez.
But that's what we've got for our handy dandy nickname episode. If you've got some nicknames that you like for these guys or that you've heard or you want us to start using, let us know. The easiest way to do that is by letting us know on social media. You can find me, your boy Coach Red, on X at the Real Coach Red, on Instagram at the Real underscore Coach Red, TikTok at the Real Coach Red. Also, find the show over on YouTube. Like, subscribe, hit that bell notification, and leave a comment or two. Kane, where you at?
You can find me over on Twitter at Kane2406, on YouTube at Kane06, TikTok Kane0624. Also follow the show's socials over on Twitter and Instagram at Coach Red Pod. Follow us, follow us, follow us. Do it, freaking do it.
And as always, stay fresh.
Stay fresh, peeps.
Peace.